guys, today I am going to be reading The Biggest Pumpkin Ever by Stephen Kroll, illustrated by Jenny Bassett. The Biggest Pumpkin Ever. Once there were two mice who fell in love with the same pumpkin. Clayton the house mouse noticed it one day in the vegetable garden. It was still little and still green, but Clayton thought he could make it grow really big. It might even get big enough to win the grand prize at the town pumpkin contest. Desmond, the field mouse, discovered the pumpkin the same day. He thought if he helped it grow, it could become the biggest jack-o'-lantern in the neighborhood. That afternoon, Clayton watered the pumpkin. He also mixed up some fertilizer and manure and water. He spread the mixture around the pumpkin to make it grow larger. That very same night, Desmond went into the garden. He watered the pumpkin too. He also spread some manure mixed with water around it too. I don't know what that says. M-A-N, sorry, it's getting blurry. Let me fix that, let it focus. That. M-A-N-U-R-E. I don't know what that spells. So, what it spells, leave it in the comments. Or, I don't know. Just tell me. Just say if you watch it. Just tell me what manure means. Or what it is. The next day, Clayton watered and fertilized the pumpkin again. The next night, Desmond did the same, and the pumpkin began to grow. By the end of the month, the pumpkin was so large, Clayton couldn't believe his eyes. My goodness, said Clayton's mother, and it's not full grown. Clayton shrugged. All I do is water it, he said. Clayton's mother whispered in his ear, if you want the pumpkin to grow bigger faster, she said, you should use sugar water. That night, Desmond brought his brother Morris to see the pumpkin. Morris knew everything there was to know about growing things. That's some pumpkin, he said. Desmond shrugged. All I do is water it, he said. Morris whispered in his ear, you should try using sugar water, he said. Clayton was amazed. He ran down the road and peeked into his friend Jimmy's pumpkin patch. The pumpkin Jimmy was growing for the contest looked much smaller. Clayton scratched his head. "I have an amazing pumpkin," he said out loud, "and I think I'm going to win the contest." That night, Desmond and his brother Morris spent a long time looking at the pumpkin. "How do you think it got that big?" Desmond asked. Morris shrugged. "A little luck, a little skill. It's going to make some jack-o'-lantern," said Desmond. "It sure is," said Morris. A week later, Clayton noticed the pumpkin was bigger than the family car. During the day, everyone he knew came. And at night, all the field mice gathered round to do the same. Lots of words. By now, summer was almost over. In a week, the pumpkin would be full grown and start turning yellowish and then orange. A few weeks after that, it would be ripe and ready for the pumpkin contest. Clayton could hardly wait. The pumpkin was growing so fast it would soon be larger than his house. Then he had a terrible thought. If the pumpkin was so big, how would he get it to the contest? It wouldn't fit in his red wagon. It wouldn't even fit in a truck. Clayton decided to worry about this when the time came. That night the weather grew colder. Thinking there might be an early frost, Clayton rushed out to the pumpkin with his blanket. One blink. Frost. Clayton rushed out to the pumpkin with his blanket. One was not enough, so he was rushing back and forth, carrying all the blankets from the house. As he worked, he hummed a little song, and as he hummed, he heard someone else singing. He also began to realize that someone else was covering the pumpkin with blankets. Desmond, too, had seen the danger of an early frost. He too had brought blankets for the pumpkin. And as he worked, he sang a little song, and as he sang, he began to realize that someone else was working and humming. Sorry, guys. Clayton stopped humming. He put down his pile up blankets and peered around the corner of the pumpkin. Desmond stopped singing. He put down his blankets and peered around the corner of the pumpkin. The two of them bumped heads and fell down. "You've been feeding the pumpkins," said Clayton. "You've been feeding the pumpkins," said Desmond. "Why, that's why it got so big," said Clayton. "That's why it got so big," said Desmond. They burst out laughing. When everything had been explained, Clayton said, "I know I'll win the contest if I can get the pumpkin to town." Desmond smiled. "I'll help you. Just let me carve the pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween when the contest is over." "It's a deal," said Clayton. "A deal," said Desmond, and they shook on it. The morning of the contest was bright and sunny. Mice were bringing their pumpkins to the town square by truck and car and wagon. Some were rolling them along the ground, or just carrying it. When the pumpkin reached that town, it was too big for any of the streets. Clayton had to explain why they couldn't bring it to square. The mayor understood at once. He led the crowd to the giant pumpkin and pinned the first prize ribbon on its side. Then everyone danced around it. "Who would have believed this?" said Clayton as he danced. "Who would have believed this?" said Desmond at the same moment. There they are. Looks like a heart. And on Halloween night, its wonderful smiling face could be seen glowing for miles around. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you didn't see the pictures good, I'm gonna do a video with just showing the pictures. I hope you like this. Please subscribe and please like, and see you next time. Bye.